If this is the first week that someone has caught the channel, they might think that I'm a little bit of a weapons freak, and honestly, I guess show me the lie, right? Hey, what's up, bookworms? Mike back with another weekly update as we are pretty much wrapping up August here, coming down right there, right before we start the fall with Sci-Fi September and stuff like that. So lots of stuff about to happen on the channel, but let's talk about some stuff that recently has happened on the channel. Let's begin, like usual, guys, with what am I reading? I didn't finish this. I thought that I'd be able to finish this in the matter of a week. Almost. I imagine I'll finish this weekend. You want some thoughts? I don't know what they are. Honestly, guys, I don't know if I would be able to review this book because I'm still not sure if I know what it's about. And I'm about, I think I'm about 80% through it here, and I'm still very, very confused what exactly it is you guys have me reading. But, no one forced me to do it. And I wouldn't say I'm miserable as much as I'm confused. Confused is a very good word for this. I don't know. I don't know if maybe it's just, like I said, I don't have a big affinity for Westerns in book form. I love Western movies, Western TV shows, but for some reason in book form they kind of struggle with me. But I don't really feel like this is what I would necessarily call a Western as much as just, I feel like you could set this like in present day, like West Texas, and I feel like you could probably do a similar story, just with a little less things that are time sensitive there. But I don't know, guys. I don't really know what else to say about this. I can't even think of anything to say right here in a blurb about it. I don't know how I would be able to review it, so I don't know if that's going to happen. Like I said, because I'm still not even sure what the book is about, but I'm going to finish that up here, so make sure that we have lots of time before Sci-Fi September starts, and that means that I want to really kick this one into gear, guys, because look, I'm talking to Joe Abercrombie this weekend. That interview is not going to be released until closer to the book release date, but I'm about halfway through this book here, and I intentionally slow-rolled this one because, like I said, I like to get that review while it's still fresh in my mind, and I cannot do that review until release date, which is September the 14th. So I'm at the point now where I'm like, okay, well, I'm at the point of no return now. I feel like I'm going to just zip through this. Not working on Friday, so that's my plan, is to just read on this and finish Blood Meridian on Friday. That's the goal, because it's the weekend when the kids get home and stuff. I don't really know, but this ain't like Malazan where you got to kind of have a clear headspace to read it. You can tell the kids to shut up and struggle through a first law book, because it's just a lot more readable, I think, than Malazan. And that's just weird. I'm not even trying to compare those two. It just kind of happened. And I also continued on Berserk a little bit. I did do trade volume number 22. So I have kicked off the Falcon of the Millennium arc, and that's a long one. It's a long one, so it's going to be taking a while. So, like I said, this month I just kind of got slapped with so much stuff. A new King novel, 2 read-alongs, and things like that, and now a review copy. So, I figure that things are going to start to smooth out here, even though we do have a lot of plans for September, and that leads me into what am I going to read. I've had people. I did that video where I talked about what I'm reading in September for the sci-fi theme, but people were like, well, what order are you planning to do these in, because I'd like to join you for some. Well, okay, I've actually nailed it down. September 1, I'm going to be doing some Martian Chronicles by Ray Bradbury. Again, a guy I think just has a magnificent prose, and in my memory, this is I would almost say like the precursor to Hyperion, in that it is several short stories, everybody kind of on one planet, and it's kind of like their experience on this planet, obviously Mars instead of Hyperion. But I think that's the comparison I would make in my memory. I don't know. Like I said, guys, I was a teenager when I read this. I remember liking it a bit. I've revisited Fahrenheit 451, and I reread Something Wicked for the third time last October. So this will be the first time I'm revisiting this one since high school. So I don't remember a lot about it, but I do remember very much enjoying it, and it is very much a pillar of the sci-fi community, because you will see lots of people. The introduction here, Isaac Asimov. So there is lots of the respect of his peers involved in that. So I'm looking forward to getting into that, even though that I know the science may be a little dated, because he did start writing this in the mid 1940s, guys. So we didn't know a lot about space travel. We hadn't even put a man in space at that point yet. So it was all very much conjecture. But I love snapshots in time like that. And to me, it's charming. I never really look at it. Like I said, I go back and read some of this Michael Crichton stuff. I'm like, yeah, that science, when he wrote it, it was ahead of its time. Now it seems kind of dated. But I love stuff like that. I think it's a great way to look back at where we were at a certain point in our culture. Then we'll be moving along to read along on Moy. That is Media Death Cult channel, and that is Childhood's End by Mr. Arthur C. Clarke. It's going to be my first Arthur C. Clarke book. I have not read Space Odyssey. I always thought that would be the first one that I read, because I do enjoy that movie quite a bit. In fact, that's actually like the wallpaper on my phone right now is what I'm calling Siri 9000, because it's just Hal. But I wish I could replace the voice of Siri on my phone to be Hal. That would be something, wouldn't it? But this one, I don't know a lot about it. I've had some people drop in recently and tell me it's kind of philosophical. So, hey, so is Dune, and I love Dune, and I have no idea what to expect with this. But again, neither one of these look like they're very hefty reads. So I can see myself knocking them all out by the next time that we talk here. And after that, I feel like if it is heavily philosophical, I feel like, okay, I might need, after Blood Meridian and doing something like that so close together, I might need like a little bit of a palate cleanser. And what better than Douglas Adams and The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy? Not only a palate cleanser, but something that's going to give you a good laugh or three. This would be I think the fourth or fifth time I've read this book. So I'm very much looking forward to that adventure again. I always love hanging out with Zaphod and Arthur and Ford and Marvin and all those fun folks before they head to the restaurant at the end of the universe. So I'm very excited to revisit that in this handsome illustrated edition that the super awesome Steph got me. Thank you, Steph. You rock. I'm excited that there are other people reading that for the first time. Anyone that I can get to read Douglas Adams for the first time, I'm excited about it. And I probably will. I don't imagine that we get through all of this in the next week, but just in case, then the big one. This is Recursion. The big one before the big one. Recursion by Mr. Blake Crouch. I love Dark Matter. So I'm very interested to see if that was just a one-hit wonder, or if that string will continue, because I would love for this to be every bit as good as Dark Matter, and then I would have my new automatic standalone author, because I feel like what I always had in the day with King and Crichton was I had that standalone author, and I'd have to read, hey, book 1 of a 9-book series, stuff like that. I love those standalones. So if I got another automatic one, just a single adventure author again, that would be really, really great, because I think that helps to keep the mind clear a little bit. But that's really everything I got planned there before we move along to that big Dune reread. And that will probably take us into, there's one more book I had in September. I can't remember. Oh, if I have time, it was going to be that first Bobaverse book. So I think a lot depends on how fast I knock out those smaller ones. We'll see. But I had some people be like, well, if you've already read Hitchhiker's Guide, why don't you just not do it and do Bobaverse instead? Because I want to do Hitchhiker's Guide. That's why. Hello, read what you want. I always say that, right? But that's what we got planned there. Let's talk about a little bit of this week on the channel. Did do 4 new videos this week. I did go ahead and wrap up the spoiler discussion for Midnight Tides, a book that I enjoyed quite a bit. And I wanted to tell the reasons why. I thought it was a fun conversation. I think it's after what almost seemed like a funeral procession talking about House of Chains, this one very much has revived my energy for the series. And I'm very excited for Bone Hunters in October, despite having Halloween reading plans that month. But I am still very, very excited for that. And the big reason why I talk about at length there. I'm thinking about the spoiler talks since the read-along. That warband has dwindled quite a bit, as we know it would. And at the halfway point, you guys notice I didn't have my veteran talk or my favorite characters for House of Chains. And it wasn't because of how I felt about the book. It's just the Malazan content. People are starting to zone out on it because they're not reading it anymore. They kind of went their own way. So I think what I'm going to continue to do with that is I will continue to do my spoiler talk and my standard review for each book. But I'm thinking that the discussions and the character rankings might pretty much be gone, at least until, unless it's something special like a roundtable discussion I have with like a group of Malazan vets or something like that. And if that bums you out, sorry. Just, people people aren't watching it, I don't want to put the time into producing stuff like that. And that's just how it goes. I've got way more content ideas than I have time, guys, and I don't want to waste time on content that people aren't watching. That's more what I hear people say, like, "Oh, do what you want. Don't worry about the algorithm." I've never done stuff that I didn't want and not worry about the algorithm. I'm just not going to make a bunch of content that people are consistently not watching. So I think what I'll do with this going forward is I'll record my spoiler talk 1 and 2 at different times, but I'm going to release them as one video and then my standard review, and that's going to be it for each Malazan book. Except, with something like exception, like I am supposed to talk to Steven Erikson at the halfway point, so something like that might happen, or I might talk with AP again, or something like that. But as far as 5 videos per book, no, I don't think I'm going to be doing that going forward, just because it's a skeleton crew compared to what it was, what that warband was like in January. And we knew that would happen. We knew that it would dwindle a little bit. Then I did my review for Dark Tower 3, The Wastelands, and this is where I had my first episode of messing around with a weapon. I actually did. I did a little gun spin at the beginning of that, and what's wild about this, guys, is I got that on my first try. I was like, I'm going to see if I can do this. And after I nailed it on my first try, I looked at the camera and I said, okay, don't blow the line. So you would think something like that takes like multiple takes, but I got it on my first try. Maybe I'm a natural gunslinger, who knows? But Dark Tower book that I loved on my reread, and I loved in my memory, so it's not really a big surprise there. It is a shame that I got to wait almost a year, because we're doing this into the multiverse in publication order. I got to wait almost a year to read Dark Tower 4, and that's a bummer, because I am really enjoying my reread here. But I would like to stick to that into the multiverse schedule, so when I talk about these things, it's still really fresh, especially something with Dark Tower that has so many layers to talk about, especially with the connections within that multiverse. Lots of things to talk about. And then more King content this week. I finally did get to talk to Jaime and Fuego of The Horror Show, and more specifically, Hail to Stephen King here on YouTube. This is the guy, honestly, that was one of my major influences for becoming a booktuber. And when we talked in that conversation, how he doesn't consider himself a booktuber, even though he's reviewed every single Stephen King book on his channel. So I'm like, you're at least halfway there, my friend. But it really is someone that I watch. I had no idea that people reviewed books on YouTube. And even though I didn't start with Stephen King, that was one of those things where I said, okay, well, hey, I feel like I could do something like this. And obviously was my influences starting into the multiverse. And I said, I didn't want to rip his idea off. I said, how about if I do these in publication order and kind of focus on, the connections within the multiverse. But obviously, he and I have developed a friendship due to our mutual love for Stephen King, and getting to have a nice conversation about that was a lot of fun. I've had people tell me they were really happy that we talked about not just the greatest hits by King and did some deep cuts. Look, I think that Jaime and I could talk about the short story The Jaunt for about 3 hours if we wanted to. So that's never a problem. We could probably talk about a lot more things, and we've talked about doing like maybe some more spoiler-specific discussion, probably mostly on Dark Tower here in the future and stuff. So the King Palaver, I'm not sure how long that series is going to go, or it's definitely not going to be a monthly thing. I do have a guest lined up sometime next month. That's Brian Lee Durfee, in case you guys don't know. Very, very good YouTube channel, and I've heard a good author. I've yet to read his books. I know, I can't believe it either, but that trilogy is getting completed next year, and I get to read them all in succession. That's the plan right now. But great human being, and I can't wait to finally welcome him onto the channel, because I think he's a lot of fun. If you haven't subscribed to his channel, please do so, because it's a laugh a second. Very much a Douglas Adams style channel where you're just going to be laughing the whole time. And then I did my Why You Should Read for Conan by Robert E. Howard. This is something I wanted to do for a while. I know it. I had someone say, how is this any different than your Why I Decided to Read video? Well, back then, I knew nothing about it. What I said in that Why I Decided to Read video about Conan was I liked the movies and the comics when I was a kid, and I started playing Dungeons and Dragons. So this was actually a lot more about the series, what I thought was great now that I've actually read it and things like that. And I just want to get more people to maybe step outside their comfort zone, because I feel like there's so many people who are all reading the same series, and they're all series that have come out like the last 15 years. But it is like pulling teeth, guys, getting modern fantasy readers to read anything older than Wheel of Time. It's really hard. I think they did Tolkien just because those movies got really popular. Besides that, it's tough. It's tough getting them to step out of their comfort zone at all. So if I can do that by just getting out there the amazing legacy that Robert E. Howard has, and the bigger legacy that he deserves, I'm going to always do that, because Conan, one of my favorite literary characters of all time, as I say in that video, and Robert E. Howard deserves to all the respect. And I really think that a lot of people, if they give it a shot, will really enjoy those stories. And I talk about it why in that video. Let's talk about a few next week plans here. I'm starting to think maybe I'm getting some overexposure, guys, because this past week, the views were probably the lowest that they've been in like 3 months. And when you do King and Malazan, like I said, Malazan has dwindling returns on those. And my King stuff has never been exactly a home run, especially when you're talking about a book 3 in a series with Dark Tower. I expect that, but I would be lying if I said I think I might have misread the anticipation for the Conan video, because my Why You Should Reads usually do much, much better than that video did. And I think it's just because, like I said, people aren't interested in anything that's that old. It seems like it's really hard. I can only imagine when I talk about Homer, like the Iliad and the Odyssey. I wonder if anyone will watch it. But again, guys, it never really depends on views as much for me. Is like I said, why am I putting this much time into this much content if it's not getting watched? So I said what I'm thinking about doing is maybe I feel like I'm getting some overexposure. Maybe I'm putting out too much content. 4 videos a week. Maybe that's too much. Maybe I need to go down to 3. Maybe some weeks I need to just do a couple. I'm thinking maybe I am starting to fall into to quantity over quality. I don't know. I don't put out anything that I don't consider quality, and I feel like I hold myself to a high standard in that regard. But the people is the voice, and if people's aren't using those eyes and watching the channels, I mean, guys, when you have 53,000 subscribers and you're struggling to get 2,000 views on a video, you're not reading the room very well. That's my opinion. So I'm thinking maybe I need to reassess some things. So I'm just putting it out there, some things that I'm thinking about right now. So as far as next week plans go, I do have a couple things I want to kind of get out there first. I do want to obviously wrap up the month of August. That's a given. I'm always going to do that each month because I like to look at how the channel is growing. July was a very, very good month, so I'll be surprised if August can top it. But we're going to talk about it regardless, and all the most popular content in August. And my favorite things, there are a couple of things in there that didn't do as well that I think I would consider like my favorite. Going to do my standard review for Midnight Tides, wrap that one up so we can move into Sci-Fi September here, and obviously the next Malazan book. With Sci-Fi September, we're going to kick that off with my spoiler-ish review of Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. And I say spoiler-ish because I cannot do a spoiler-free review on this. I feel like the book's been out long enough now. It feels like everybody who really, really wants to read it has read it. And I don't feel bad about spoiling a couple of plot points in there that I feel like would really ruin the book for you if you didn't know it before you started it. So it's not really going to be a spoiler review. It's just like there's things in there that I feel like are spoilers if I even tell you the basis of what that book is about. So that's why I've kind of held it off to now. But I definitely want to talk about it because it is one of my favorite books of the year. In fact, it is in my running for best book of the year. So I definitely want to talk about it and talk about why I loved it and why I thought it was great. And I can't do that without spoiling a couple of things for you guys. So I think that might be kind of confusing to people. They're going to be expecting a full spoiler review, and that's not what it is. It's just there are certain things I have to spoil to talk about, even for a review. So there we go. That'll be kicking off Sci-Fi September. That's it for the books, guys. There are a couple of gaming stuff and some TV and movie talk stuff. There's a little bit of gaming. There was Gamers.com this week, so I want to talk about those. Let's start with a little bit with the TV and movie talk here. We started Green Knight. My wife fell asleep. Yeah, that tells you how it goes. And that isn't really saying anything about the movie, guys. This is my wife. It's 9:40 on a school night. And I'm like, I don't want to start a movie this late. You're just going to fall asleep. No, I'm fine. And she lays down to watch the movie. And within 10 minutes, she's out. And it happens. It's been years that this has been going on, but she always denies it. But anyway, we haven't really found a time to get back to doing it. Seems like every night this week we've had something going on, so we haven't gotten to do it. So hopefully we can find some time this week to watch that because I want to know which side I fall on because it seems like everybody either loves it or hates it. So I said, sounds like an A24 film. They always, are either love or hate with those movies. So I'll be interested to see which side I fall on. And then this one's kind of a different little spin. I was a big wrestling fan, just like everyone else was. I grew up in Atlanta, Georgia, about 10 miles from the Omni, where WCW was, NWA was really just blowing up. It was still really small before it got to what it got to in the 90s. You know, you used to go down there for $4. You could watch Sting and Ric Flair wrestle for an hour. You know, it was great. It was a great, great time. So I was always really interested in the industry. And then, of course, growing up in the heyday of WrestleMania and stuff like that. Sure, I was in that, and then when it exploded in the 90s, it was really weird because I was like, wow, this is things that it's kind of how I felt about superhero movies. This is something that I got picked on and made fun of for my whole life, and now everybody loves it. It's so weird. But yeah, wrestling is obviously nowhere near where it used to be. WWE, I'll kind of watch, the big pay-per-views. I'll watch like Royal Rumble. I'll watch WrestleMania, even though I didn't this year. While there was no fans in the crowd, I didn't watch it because with me, wrestling with no fans, no fan reaction is not fun. And when you want to talk about a fan reaction, I want to talk about the one that CM Punk got for his return to wrestling after 7 years. Now, look, I haven't been a dedicated wrestling fan for about 15 years now. When it was the rise of John Cena, that's kind of when I kind of started checking out of watching it weekly. And I would just kind of casually follow it. So I knew that people loved CM Punk, but I really missed a lot of what people loved about this character. But I'm never going to deny how popular he was. And for AEW to be such an upstart company, they're still just 2 years old. They're nowhere near on the level as WWE yet. And to be able to get someone like CM Punk to come out of his, forced retirement, because he was done with WWE. You can find all that stuff. You can find all kinds of documentaries and stuff about why he left there. That is one of the loudest pops I have ever heard for a returning wrestler in my life. And like I said, I've been watching this sport my whole life, sports entertainment sport. And it was just really exciting because to me, I have been begging for competition for WWE for 20 years now, ever since WCW got bought. I have felt like the only thing that is ever going to make that a watchable weekly program ever again is legitimate competition, and I feel like it might finally be happening. I had my hopes with Impact, but I never felt like they had the right people in place. This feels like they've got the right brain trust involved. They've got the TV deal and all those things on TNT. Now they're getting respectful wrestlers. Daniel Bryan's going over there. It's rumored that Bray Wyatt's about to head there. Adam Cole's about to head there. So it looks like things are on the up and up. They've already got a really good young roster over there. And it feels exciting again. Like you'll watch it and you'll be like, there is so much. The crowd sizes are a third the size of WWE's, obviously due to brand recognition. But there's almost like that ECW kind of energy whenever you watch one of these. Like it's a smaller crowd, but this crowd is into it. They are totally into it. And there's actually wrestling, guys. It isn't just a bunch of drama and talk and, the same matches every single week. And it's not 3 hours, it's a quick 1 hour show, sometimes a 2 hour show. I think what is it? Dynamite just went to 2 hours. Like I say, I haven't watched it religiously. I watched it when it first started because, it's cool to see like Jim Ross and Tony Schiavone calling matches together. That was always something that we wanted to see in the Monday Night War, So seeing all those nostalgia things and then seeing the young wrestlers being treated right, that was always something very exciting. So I hope that this legitimately means that there is straight competition for WWE because I feel like competition is going to bring out. WWE was in the toilet before WCW really put them on the ropes, and then they said we got to up our game, and we would have never had the Attitude Era if it weren't for the NWO and things like that, and WCW really pushing them hard. So I'm hoping that this is what this is. Because like I said, I feel like they've got the right management team. Tony Khan seems like he's willing to put some money into this thing. And you got the right players involved. They're really, really excited about where it's going. And you got a lot of the veterans that are coming over there. Like Sting is back over there. And he's playing a mentor. Like you look at what they're doing with Goldberg in WWE right now. And the fans don't care. The fans don't care. But yet they care about Sting in AEW because the way that they're using him is right. It's really, really good. So it feels like they have that perfect balance between having the veterans but not keeping the young talent down in lieu of them, giving them good roles and good storylines. So I'm optimistic, guys. I really, really do hope that this can be the next big thing because if it makes WWE actually start trying again and then you have these two competing each week, the consumer wins, guys. Competition is the best for creativity, and I'm really, really excited about it. Just like I'm excited about a couple of gaming things, guys. I want to talk about gaming stuff. Halo Infinity. Is it Infinity or Infinite? I can't get an honest answer of this. I was saying Infinite, and my kid keeps saying Infinity, and he's even a bigger Halo fan than I am. December the 8th is when it finally comes out. I'm kind of bummed about it because me and my kid were going to play couch co-op on it, and they're saying that couch co-op is not going to be available at launch. And I don't know. I feel like a lot of these developers, Cyberpunk 2077 has kind of been a warning message to them now that you can't overpromise and underdeliver, or else people aren't going to be able to trust you again. So I think at least them coming out and saying that is cool. They don't want to keep delaying the game just to get the multiplayer and the campaign co-op right. So as long as the campaign is running well, I think that they should go ahead and release this before it goes to the point where it's like, all right, you guys have delayed this for over a year now. But they definitely don't want to release it too soon like Cyberpunk did, and it was just a complete disaster. So I'm thinking, since I'm not going to have that, I might just play it on the PC. That's the best thing, is I don't have to go buy a new Xbox, whatever the new Xbox is called, even though you still can't find them apparently. Whatever. I'm so tired of these consoles always coming out and they're saying, oh yeah, they're so great, you can't buy them because they're so great. And I know they say that, because of the virus shall not be named, that parts are scarce or whatever. But they've been doing this for 20 years, guys. Ever since the N64, they've been saying, oh, there's just not enough of them. We didn't anticipate demand. It's a scheme at this point. Anyways, I don't have to do that, so I can just buy the PC version and play it. I just hope my PC can run it, because I haven't gotten a next-gen only game yet for my PC, so we'll see. Horizon Zero Dawn 2. I love the first one. I think this one's called Forbidden West. I think that's what it's called. It's got a release date of February the 18th of 2022. It's going to be on both PS5 and PS4. So again, I don't have to buy the current gen console, and I'm happy about that, because exclusives are the one thing that are going to keep me buying consoles and not being a PC-only gamer. I love the first one, like I said. This one, I'm wondering if they can hit that date for sure, February 18th. I still feel like it might not be ready at that point. And I feel like Guerrilla Games really handles their business well. So if they can't, they'll delay it. And I think a lot of people, a lot of these developers are realizing that fans will be okay if you delay the game and do it right. Everybody complained about how long No Man's Sky got delayed, and then they put out a game that wasn't done. Look at Cyberpunk. Everybody was complaining about the delays, and then they put it out and it wasn't done. So I think more and more people are starting to realize, look, take as long as you need. Stop putting release dates on things. Just tell us when it's coming. When you know that it's coming, then give us the release date. It's something I always liked that Bethesda did, and then Bethesda goes and gives a date a year away for Starfield. So I don't know. There's a documentary I watched last week. It was called Raising Kratos, and it was on the making of God of War on PS4. And look, guys, I'm a sucker for a documentary. I can watch a documentary on anything. I watched a documentary one time about how they make balloons, and I'm not going to lie, I was riveted. So I'm very easy to please on this. But this was just a fantastic gaming documentary. And it just goes to show you how much goes into these games, how much work, how people's lives are affected, how much they're away from their family and stuff. And it was just a compelling documentary that, I'm not going to lie, guys, I was a sack of tears at the end of it when the guy that was the lead of making the game, I forget his name right now, but he's actually, they call it his live reaction reading the first reviews for it, and he just starts crying, and then I do the same thing. I'm a big old baby about this kind of stuff. So that combined with the parts where they're talking about how hard it is. Christopher Judge, that's the voice of Kratos. I know him as Teal'c from Stargate SG-1. There you go, guys. There's my monthly Stargate SG-1 reference. I got to do that. Hearing him talk about basically when he was recording Stargate SG-1, he had to basically he missed 10 years of his kids growing up, and he's like fighting back the tears. And when it comes to dad shit, guys, I'm a big old sissy. So great documentary. But what it led to was me hoping that there would be some God of War Ragnarok. That's a follow-up, some kind of a mention of it in Gamerscom, but there was not. So I just decided I'm going to start playing God of War again on PS4, because I never finished all the realms that they have in there. So I just started over from scratch because it's just an awesome game, and I love it. And that documentary just reminded me how much I love that game. I've been in that series since the very original game was released on PS2. So I've always been a fan of that series. It was a series I thought was out of life, and they brought it back to life with this new culture. And there's so many things about it, mixing the Greek and the Norse mythology together, that I just loved. So if you haven't played God of War, guys, I think it's a greatest hits now. It's like $20. You can get it brand new. Absolutely one of maybe the best game of the last generation. It would be flip a coin between that and Witcher 3 for me for my favorite game last generation. I think so. Yeah, that's pretty much my plans right now. Is read Wisdom of Crowds, play God of War, and hopefully finish Green Knight with my wife in between at Little League and Boy Scouts starting back and all that stuff. So guys, that was my week. What was your week like? Drop in the comments. Let me know what you're reading, what you're playing, what you're watching, what you're listening to, all of the above or more, and I will talk to you in the comments.